meeting here in discussion. So you'll see me stand here, 5 minutes, 3 minutes, 1 minute, and stop. Thank you. Timekeeper for this session. So simply showing the signs, 5 minutes, 3 minutes, and 1 stop. Thank you.
All right. Good morning, everyone. A very warm welcome. We're going to have an exciting session. My name is Nicolas Pelletier-Tiberge. I'm the Global Director for Transport at the World Bank, and I hope that you are enjoying transforming transportation. This is the second day. We have a record attendance. And, I think the discussions yesterday and this morning were very inspiring. And this session is actually very well scheduled because it's right after a plenary where we touched on some of the topics that we are going to discuss today. And so it's a very nice segue to our discussion. We're going to talk about digital innovation and artificial intelligence and how this can be relevant for the transport sector. And in particular, to help build better and safer transport systems. I think that everybody in the room has seen the buzz around artificial intelligence and how digital technologies can be transformative. It's impossible to ignore the potential that these innovations are going to have on many things that we do, including in the transport sector. There were some interesting sessions yesterday, if you attended the last plenary with one of the panelists using ChatGPT to answer to some of the questions. So that was a very concrete illustration of how this is changing everything we do. So to discuss about these innovations, I'm very happy to welcome 4 leaders who have been working hard to harness the power of digital technology and AI in transport. Let me first welcome Ana Blanco, who is a Traffic Deputy Director for Spain's General Directorate for Traffic, Dirección General de Tráfico, DGT. We have also Paloma Baena, who is a Global Strategy Manager for the Spanish railway operator Renfe. We have Luis Perez Madariaga, who is a Program Manager and Business Development Manager of Information Technology and Defense Systems for the company Indra. And last but not least, we have Ricardo Herranz, who is the CEO of Nomon. And Nomon is a technology company that uses big data and artificial intelligence to develop innovative solutions across a variety of strategic sectors, including transport. So I would like to express our special gratitude to our counterparts at the Spanish Institute for Foreign Trade, ICEX. We have a very long-standing partnership between ICEX and the World Bank. And many thanks for hosting this session and bringing us together. Our 4 panelists will tell us about some of the most promising innovations in their respecting fields and explaining how those innovations are integrating new technologies into their work, and they will share their perspective on how AI can transform transportation. Now, there will be a particular focus on the Latin America region, but the intention of today's panel is to discuss how this is relevant globally. At the World Bank, we work with governments from many countries around the world, from the developing countries and the emerging economies. And so the aim is really to see beyond those specific examples about what the potential can be for other nations who are interested in these technologies. This aligns very well with what we are trying to do at the World Bank, both through our financing, but also our knowledge instruments. And the vision is really to help governments leapfrog, no, and so that those innovations do not stay only in developed countries, but that we are trying to bring them quickly to developing countries and emerging economies where they can also help achieve development outcome. And just to give you a couple of examples from some of the work that we do here at the World Bank, and if you're in the previous plenary, there was the Minister of Transport of Sierra Leone, and Sierra Leone is a country where we've been using cell phone data to better understand mobility patterns, and this has informed the transport program that the ministers was referring to, and this is now becoming quite common when we design urban transport program. I mean, now in many cities there are partnerships with cell phone companies, and with big data we have a much better understanding of what are mobility patterns, and then we can plan mobility solutions better. We've been also seeing the importance of digitalization in logistics. I think the COVID crisis has surfaced many vulnerabilities in global supply chains, and one of the solution to improve the resilient supply chains is to digitalize, and in particular in the port sector. Now, port community systems are particularly important. And finally, another example from Brazil, in Sao Paulo, where we've been working with the local authorities to identify how 5G technology could help transform the management of traffic lights. So something very specific, but another example of how those technologies can be impacting the work we do in transport. So I'll stop there, and without further ado, let's hear from our distinguished panelists, and we'll start with Anna. So Anna, what is the role of the DGT in shaping road safety and traffic management policies in Spain? And what do you see as the most pressing challenges in mobility that need to be addressed?
Hello. Good morning to everyone. Good morning, Nicolas. It's a pleasure for me to be here. This is my first Transforming Transportation Congress, so it's been amazing, and congratulations for all the organization. It's been amazing. I come from the Road Safety Agency in Spain, the DGT, which has under the remit to get better drivers in our country, better roads, and better vehicles. Again, this to improve all the road safety system. We have also responsibilities under traffic management, and which is quite a different situation organization from other countries. We don't maintain roads. It's the Ministry of Transport and regions who maintain roads, but still we cover all the traffic management in the whole country. We have a vast experience in digitalization, coming from many years ago, and as mentioned, we are facing different challenges in our countries regarding mobility. First of all, would be road safety. Of course, we did a good job in the last decades, but still we need to improve. We have current new challenges regarding. We have a good performance, for instance, in highways, but still we need to improve in rural roads. And we have the problem is that is spread all over the world with the vulnerable users. Still, we need to find new ways to address these challenges. Regarding mobility, congestion, as mentioned in the plenary, too much cars, and in case of Spain, with just one occupant, most of them in our daily trips to our cities, 80%, 85% of them with just one driver. Just with the driver, and there are congested areas that suffer mass, for instance, mass tourism and all the problems regarding resilience. Just to focus on the session regarding how we face digitalization, I think it's important to share our key issues and all the platforms and technology is not an objective itself. Itself is not the end. It's a tool. I think it's something that we have to take into account. That we need scalable solutions. We have a huge network, huge problem, so scalable solutions is a need for us. And I think it's important to address also the collaboration with different stakeholders. We are going through a data-driven solutions, and isolate approach of them would be difficult. It's important cooperation with the private sector. I will talk later about information, data sharing and information to the users, and it's important to count with the private sector, and also between administrations, not only the national level, but also the local and cities and regions. And in all, we are building our own platforms for our own responsibilities, but we see a connection between all these platforms, and we have to build an ecosystem. That will be my point, building ecosystems for mobility.
Thank you, Anna. And I think this is very relevant a few weeks after the global ministerial that took place on road safety that took place in Marrakesh now, and there was a lot of discussions on road safety data. So let's move to Paloma. So safety in transport is not limited to avoiding possible accidents, such as collisions or derailment, but also to ensuring the safety of users and their belongings. So what system does Renfe have in place in this regard, and what role does AI play in predictive maintenance to reduce possible incidents or increase the safety of the equipment that you are using?
Okay, thank you. I would like to start saying, well, good morning to everyone. And it's a pleasure to be here, particularly because this was my first job, the World Bank. I was at MIGA at the beginning of my career, so it's very, very emotional and rewarding to be part of this great institution, even if for a few days again. I also, if you allow me, would like to mention that Anna has been rather humble in explaining the incredible job that DGT does in Spain as one of the few organizations whose impact you can measure in lives. And I invite Joanna to share some data on the amazing progress you have managed in terms of security in Spain. I thought I would say it as a fellow citizenship, and I'm very proud of your work. So thank you, Anna, for everything that you're doing there. So Renfe, for those of you who don't know us, which I hope is no one in the room, but you never know, we are the public railway company. We operate all the rail connections in Spain, whether it's long distance, high speed, or regional trains. We do it now in a context of liberalization. We do have competition. We open to the markets in our high-speed corridors a few years ago. So we have French and Italian competition, but we are still the leading operator in the country. And as such, we are expected to lead with AI integration, not only because of our size, but because of our public role. So the first thing I would say is that what we have done initially, even before talking about particular solutions, is to talk about how do we want to deploy AI, because we do need to be an example of how AI practices can develop. And the first thing we have done is to establish a very sound AI governance framework. And we'll talk about data later because this is very closely related. But there is a huge component of compliance. As you know, the European Union has been pioneering the regulation of AI. And therefore, the first thing we do is to want to comply and align with that vision, which is a deployment of artificial intelligence that is good for society and good for citizens. And that is a guiding principle for all of us. The second thing for us that is critical is that any deployment of AI we do must have the user at the center. And therefore, your question is very relevant because everything that has to do with the maintenance of rolling stock is critically for our service delivery and for security. We have a fleet of over 1,000 trains. And we have a particularity in Renfe is that we have a fleet that is almost from any builder in the world. We have Alstom, Siemens, CAF, Talgo, and making sure that you have systems that allow you to keep those trains moving on a regular basis, with different technologies, different parts, different systems, it's definitely challenging. And we are deploying AI particularly for predictive maintenance. It's not easy because we do keep maintenance facilities in different points in the geography of Spain, and because of the different technical characteristics of our fleet. But basically, we're aiming for sure for security, but more than anything for optimization of the downtime we have our material, which at the end of the day is what makes the difference between running constantly trains at the level of security and service that citizens expect. We are expecting to see, we have a target of increasing 15% reliability and decreasing 20% costs overall of maintenance. And we are in early stages, so I'm not going to tell you that we are doing this all over across the fleet, but that's our target. And next year, I'll hope to report that we have achieved those targets.
Thank you, Paloma. Fascinating. It's well known that maintenance is the single most cost-effective expenditure that you can do in many modes of the transport sector. And also, it's quite interesting to see that AI can also help to optimize in the rail sector. Let's go to Ricardo. What are the main challenges for transport planning and operations in the coming years? And how can big data and AI help address these challenges?
Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for the invitation. I would say the challenges are not substantially different from the challenges we had 10 or 20 years ago. We want to move towards a more sustainable transportation system, so a more economically viable public transport system, socially responsible transportation system, so paying attention to questions related to accessibility, social equity, etc. And of course, an environmentally sustainable transport system, we have the challenge of reducing our carbon emissions. So these challenges are essentially the same we had 10 or 20 years ago. I think what has changed is the context or the tools, the context in which we need to address these challenges. And technology has a lot to do with this, right? Addressing these challenges is a matter of technology on the supply side, of moving towards safer technologies or more sustainable propulsion systems. But not only, it also has to do with demand. We also need to affect or to change people's behavior to move towards more sustainable travel or safer behavior on our roads. And this is where things have changed, in my opinion, that the acceleration of technology changed the deployment of different types of information and communication technologies are changing faster than ever the way we behave. We saw this with the pandemic, phenomena like telework or online shopping, things that were there before, but somehow were exacerbated by the pandemic. And now in the past 2-3 years, we've seen the explosion of generative AI, which is supposed to change everything we do and the way we do everything in our lives, right? So things are changing in a timescale of months or even weeks when things changed maybe 20 years ago in a timescale of years. And we need different observation instruments to understand passenger behavior, to understand mobility needs, because they change very fast. You mentioned cell phone data before. This is one of the data sources we work with at Nomon, but there are many others, right? We need to measure this in a much more agile and precise manner than before, right? And we have an opportunity there because the very same technologies that are changing our behavior also produce a huge amount of geolocated or geolocation data on the movement of people, vehicles, or goods, right? And this is what we can profit from. This is where big data enters into play, in my opinion. It can help us understand, monitor, and explain mobility behavior and user behavior in a way or with a level of accuracy, with a level of richness of information that we didn't have 10 or 20 years ago with more traditional measurement instruments, surveys, and so on, right? And then we have AI. Artificial intelligence provides us with the tools that help us make sense of this data. Big data help us measure and characterize how we move. AI can help us make sense of this data and not only describe what we do, but also forecast and hopefully manage transportation systems in a way that they are better suited or better adapted to demand behavior. Coming to the question of road safety, which I think the panel today revolves more specifically around safety. I think everything I said applies also to safety issues, right? We have a lot of new data sources, mobile phone data from mobile apps, onboard GPS systems. Very soon, we will have connected car data on a massive scale. All these sources allow us to understand not only safety issues or accidents, which we had a panel on Monday where at the Spanish embassy where it was highlighted the importance of improving our databases on accidents in many countries, but also on the explanatory factors behind these accidents. And this is very important. We can also know at what time of the day vulnerable road users concentrate in different parts of the city. We will have with connected car data some sort of accident precursors, changes of speed, sudden brakes, a lot of information that combined with artificial intelligence will hopefully allow us not only to better understand the causes, the drivers of safety, but also hopefully to influence these factors and advance towards a safer transportation system. So yeah, so I think that would be my answer to your question.
Thank you, Ricardo. Indeed, it's fascinating how big data and AI can change the way we plan infrastructure, and it lowers also tremendously the cost of understanding mobility behaviors, and including in developing countries. I mean, there is an amount of data that is already quite remarkable. And one of the issue that we are looking at that can be really a game changer at the World Bank is the moment we will be able to assess a road condition from satellite images. And there are some algorithms that are being developed because when you think about the cost of doing a road inventory, if you are able to do that just from the analysis of satellite imaging, I mean, you change completely your understanding of what's your infrastructure stock now. So let's move to Luis. Luis, can you let us know something about Indra in mobility, digitalization, and based on your experience, could you provide an overview of the need in the global market? And if you could share any relevant example.
Okay, thank you, Nicola, and thanks to the World Bank and of course this too for this opportunity to share with the audience Indra experience in mobility. Indra is a Spanish company, but not only expert in mobility, also defense and air traffic management. This is very related to, as you said now, about the satellite technology applies to the new aspects of their lives. And in case of Indra, we have made projects over 100 countries in the world, and we have presence with 40 offices. In particular in Latin America, you said before at the beginning, we have so amazing projects that I can explain a little bit later. And it has have to define Indra capabilities. I mean, we are kind of an integrator. It's a very important aspect in the projects. I mean, we work for DG, we work for Renfe, in so many national projects, big ones, not only for cities, also under the national perspective. And one of the more challenging things there is when you have to put together in the same system different third-party technologies and realities. This is very challenging for a company like us. As Paloma said, also for us, the user, the passenger, is focus of all our developments. We are focused on that, how make for the user or the passenger in terms of transportation in a city, make their life easier. And in terms of the foreign commerce, for example, you said about port community systems or national logistic platforms. We have also very strong experience in Latin America too, in Chile, for example, bringing to the market this easy facilitation of the commerce with zero papers and sharing of information. Also, very important aspect of our technologies and products are focused on the capability, how to increase the capability of the installation facilities already done, or even in a greenfield, and through the technology. I mean, it's a very important aspect in terms of the reducing the capex in the beginning of the investment, because if you use currently the technology, you can, it's not necessary deploy a huge capacity, because this technology allows you increase the dynamic capacity of the energy transport system. These two capabilities together brings visibility in terms of the safety. I think when you are able to put all your systems or your contractors under the same platform, sharing the information, make it visible for everyone, not only for the administration, also for the user, then you get a safer environment for your operations, not only for the transport of the citizens, also for the merchants.
Thank you, Luis. So many examples covering various aspects now of planning, optimization, demand analysis. Now, let's go back to Anna. How is digitalization being implemented by DGT, and what technologies are being used to improve efficiency and enhance security on the roads?
Well, we have seen here many trends that we are all using. From the perspective of a public authority, sometimes you see all these features, technologies, and you are a bit exhausted sometimes. I would say in DGG, we went through this process and try to fix our objectives, which are mainly enhanced traffic management and increase road safety. Okay, so all our projects had to be really aligned to these objectives, and we have to see the clear use cases that will improve. I mean, these two topics. In this, using the trends, we have currently 4 projects we're working at this moment. The first one is our SCADA, which is the system that manages all the ITS that we have in our roads, as a tool to provide all the information from our sensors. And it's a pillar because we have 8 traffic management centers, and each of them had a different SCADA. And so we are unifying as a pillar of what we are making. This is an issue, okay? Because if you want to build other process regarding artificial intelligence or big data management, if you have different databases and you don't have any unified process, is difficult for you. So first is the pillar of the SCADA managing our projects. Of course, we're using the trend, and we have an important project, which is our mobility platform, in which we built the use cases regarding connectivity with the users. And we use this project basically to improve the quality of data that we can provide as a public authority. For instance, one of the cases is providing information about roadworks. We are using IoT devices, to improve what we were currently doing, giving information about roadworks, but we weren't good on that. So we had a problem, and we checked, for the way to do it. This is another pillar of our enhancement of what we are doing. Of course, we have a HERT in our traffic management centers, which is the incident management tool, which is fed by the different systems, the mobility connected platform, but also the SCADAs as a HERT of the system, from which we feed, for instance, broadcasting of traffic information through the traditional channels like radio, TV, our web, and so on. But we have a nice connection with service providers. I mean, this information, all this process, we include also the partnership of the private with integration with service providers like Tom, Google here, okay, which are in the process. Also, we have integration with our other administrations, as I mentioned before, with road operators. We receive information with static data, for instance, speed limits, which is a relevant use case for ISA, speed intelligent speed assistance. Okay, and it's an issue to get this information from the different stakeholders. And also, we are providing through our database, the National Access Point, which is an initiative in the European Union. We are also providing the situation of the electric charging stations, right? And so it's a ecosystem using different trends, and of course, this having these pillars really stable will help us also to introduce other trends like artificial intelligence that we are using in prediction, in incident management, but you need to have your pillars really well established. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Anna, for this very comprehensive overview of all the challenges associated with data management. And it reminds me a little bit some of the conversation we're having about some of the road safety data when we engage with countries, and where you know that it's many different institutions have relevant data on how you bring that together between the police, the health, the insurance, the road agencies. Let's move to Paloma again. So a railway operator such as Renfe manages a huge amount of data almost daily. And what's the company doing to convert this data into information, and how you then use this information into decision making to improve the safety of services?
Well,
so data for action.
Yeah, that's our one of our $1 million questions right now, because Renfe, it's a company that has over 80 years of history, and that means that we sit on piles and piles of data. And to make use of data, you need to first have a good governance system of that data. And when that data has been built layer upon layer, and in a complex organization, we need to get the basic rights. And I was saying this before, and we're at that moment in the process of the company. So I don't think, I think we could have started earlier, to be perfectly honest. But when you are running and moving 540 million people every year, like I said before, 1,000 trains running, you tend to solve the day-to-day. So we are in this strategic moment right now. We do have a platform where we have unified all the relevant data for daily monitoring and decision making, but that doesn't mean that underneath that we have the structure and the governance and the reliability that we need, to be perfectly honest. So we're working very hard on that at the moment. And you mentioned before the leapfrogging. I think we are going to leapfrog several stages, I hope. And that means that we're going to be able to build in solutions for data analytics and AI. At the same time, we are creating the capacity for all of us to access data in a decentralized manner. So we're looking at different technologies to do that at the moment. And we're also focusing on specific quick wins that we hope to achieve by applying this. One of them is predictive maintenance that we were talking about before, but there are other issues such as day-to-day management issues, such as contact centers that we have in absolutely every form that you can imagine: phone, WhatsApp, internet. So we're trying to build in solutions not only to make it more a seamless experience for the user, but to anticipate what the questions are and how we can give solutions in a much more integrated and easier way, and how we can use it to improve our decision making. That's one case in which we're applying already the use of data. At the same time, we build the governance of this. And the other one, I think, is for management decisions. At the level of the executive committee where I sit, we have at the moment decided on a very limited number of indicators for which we are responsible in a cross-cutting manner. So we're moving away, hopefully, from a silo approach where people are responsible for certain deliveries, which we will continue to be. And we want to have a cross-cutting view of the organization for outcome-based management, for which different units are responsible to achieve that single outcome. So we're using it at the level of our management. And one other thing I wanted to mention regarding this, as I said before, we are a public company, so we take that role seriously, and we're building an ecosystem with universities as well as with entrepreneurial initiatives through competitions such as Train Lab, where we look for innovative solutions to address some of these challenges. And in the case of some of them, we actually become investors. We adopt the technology, we give them a grant, and in some cases we have become investors in the company. So we are trying to innovate also by encouraging local innovation and then investing in it as well.
Thank you, Paloma. So data governance and data partnership now, and to get the data also you need to support your KPIs within the company's executive committee. Ricardo, you mentioned the broad framework of how data and AI is relevant for transport planning. Could you give us a few examples of some relevant projects where big data and AI have been used to support transport planning and operations?
Yes, I'm going to highlight a couple of projects that I think are good to illustrate some of the points we've been discussing in the panel. First one is actually a project of projects. It's something we've been doing in collaboration with the World Bank since 2021, which is integrating a variety of big data sources, in particular mobile network data and smart card data from smart payment systems in public transport, with more conventional data sources such as household travel surveys to basically reconstruct origin destination matrices and other travel demand indicators and monitor the evolution of travel behavior in different Latin American cities. The project started or was originally motivated by the need to understand the changes in travel behavior caused by the pandemic. So we started doing this in Bogota and Buenos Aires, looking at how travel behavior had evolved from 2019 through 2020, 2021, along the or with the evolution of the pandemic. Then the project was replicated in Medellin, in Colombia, then in Asunción. We did something quite similar, in this case with the IFC, also in Sao Paulo, to update the city, the transport model for the city. And we are now starting a new project in another 3 Brazilian cities. I think it's a success story in the sense that it has, or the original idea of the project or the original contract was not only to provide this information, but also to develop a methodology, a sound approach to this problem, something that could be shared with the end users, with the transport authorities. I think it's a success story in terms of shared knowledge and shared learning. We learned along this process together with the cities. And there's also some side benefits. It's not only the fact of course, which is the main goal of the project, of producing better information faster and at a lower cost than with traditional methods, but it also has some side benefits, such as identifying, for example, some deficiencies in the way public transport data were being collected or were being stored or were being managed by the cities. So this also provided a valuable feedback to improve this system. So that would be the first example. Second example is in Europe. Again, trying to also look at the topic of safety. Is a European research project called Soteria, in which we are working with different cities, in particular with the city of Madrid. And the idea is to apply, again, big data and artificial intelligence, in this case, to improve the safety of vulnerable road users in cities. And it's something we expect to replicate soon in Latin America. The idea of the project is to collect not only information about fatalities, because if we want to move towards this zero accident vision or zero fatality vision promoted by the European Union, information or data on fatalities is not enough. We also need near misses. We also need incidents, risk events that eventually could lead to fatalities, right? So we are collecting this data through, let's say, again, more conventional data from the police, etc., but also new data sources such as connected car data, for example. Again, sudden brakes, sudden changes in directions. This is type of precursors that may indicate that a certain area in the city's hotspot. We are overlapping or mapping this or blending this with information on the mobility of vulnerable road users. So basically pedestrian mobility and cycling mobility, again, based on mobile phone data, apps data, and other big data sources. And basically we blend both things together and we develop machine learning models, artificial intelligence models that try to forecast this or to predict where these hotspots may appear and what are the driving factors in terms of weather, in terms of traffic density, in terms of special events in the city, a variety of factors that may drive or may determine whether a certain point in the city network is more or less prone to accidents for in this case for vulnerable users. So these are two examples, I think, of close collaboration with end users, with cities, where we are developing technologies, but we are also learning together with the cities, right? And generating knowledge along the way beyond delivering this technology to the cities. And this is something that sometimes I think underestimated in this type of big data AI projects. It's what you deliver, but it's also what you learn, the understanding you gain along the process, which is equally important in my opinion.
Thank you, Ricardo. I'm quite familiar with the first example you gave because it came from a specific request from the city of Bogota, and then we had other cities in Latin America who expressed the same concern. Is they saw mobility behaviors shifting during COVID, and in particular, active mobility started to be a big trend, and there were some concerns that after the pandemics, will they go back to the previous behaviors? And what we saw is that these changes have been there to stay, and so that's explain also some of the big momentum that we see right now around the cycling agenda and how cities want to use this to transform their cities. So a really great example of how data can inform policy making. Luis, could you please describe the quantitative and qualitative benefits for passengers and citizens? And give us also a few success factors that are important to take into account when we design or plan digitalization projects.
Yes, thank you, Nicola. To focus on the benefits that the users or passenger citizens get from these deployments, I'm going to take the example of the project in the Barcelona metropolitan area. The project, Mobilitat project, basically the point of departure was a city with more than 70 transport providers, different 75 transport providers with different means of validation, different digital maturity levels, different weight of payments. I mean, it's kind of a chaotic point of departure, but anarchic. Transit is the solution for a city. I mean, most of the cities have more or less same situation. And in that project, we made this, put all the providers of the mobility for the buses, trains, bicycles, providers under the same platform and model operation. The impact for the users was huge because in case of Barcelona, they with their own device, just with the mobile, they can use any means of transport of the city and the metropolitan area. Some cases it's with the mobile, some cases with a countless card. Both depends on the preference. In case of the mobile, also the passengers in that device, they have all the information about what's going on. And then it's very useful for them to planning their trip, see if any whatever happened in the route, they can take an action as individuals, not also the administration take action if if something happens, an accident or congestion, whatever, also the individual can help to the system to improve it. Also, about the way of payments is consolidated, then it's easy to pay. You can pay as you go. You are not financing the operation because you are paying as you use it. Yeah. And as I said, the visibility is a huge advance, not only for the user, also for the administration. When you have all your system connected and bringing the data to your managed platform, you can not also give a better response to the operation, daily operation. Also, you can planning, see what are your tendencies, the behavior, as mentioned before, the behavior of your users. Then you have to planning a new routes or whatever action, no? In terms of under the way of predictive one, under the way of the action of the daily to correct situations. And in both cases, I think are very important. This visibility, bring the visibility for both. And I think the key aspects to the success of this kind of projects is for a whole city or even a country. Just a couple of things. I think there are so many, but I would like to put a focus in. First one is the leadership. And I mean not only the leadership from the authority, also for the bank, in case of the bank is behind the project, also the presence of the bank in some situations, following the daily of the project when the things are not going as should be. The presence of the bank could help to broken these barriers and these bad situations that sometimes happens in the projects, not let alone to the authority. And on the other hand, I would like to be focused in this kind of projects about the design of and the very beginning of the project. I mean, there was a previous session talking about the procurement process. I think it's very important. I think the companies like Indra, maybe no more too, should participate and be part of the very beginning of the design of this kind of projects, trying to define correctly the scope, the budget, the time to deploy it as much as possible based on our experience. As Ricardo said, I mean, I'm not smarter than anyone here, but as Indra, we failed in 1 and 2 and 3 projects. And all these failures, based on that experience, is called at the moment to design a new project. We know where are the pain points, and we would like to share with the banks and the authorities, but from the very beginning. Thank you.
Thank you, Luis. So data integration and how this can be helpful, and common platform, how this can be helpful both for users to customize mobility solution for users and also for planners, and how the World Bank can be an honest broker, and also the need to anticipate and plan ahead. No, great. So we have a few minutes for questions, and I received 2 questions from the audience. The first one is, could the panel elaborate on how the transition phase is envisioned for scaling up autonomous vehicles while they share the road with regular vehicles? Anna, it seems it's a question for you, no?
Thank you so much. I haven't mentioned, but the DGT is supporting the introduction of autonomous vehicles as a mean to improve road safety. We really foresee that it would make a change in road safety. For this reason, what we are not just inventing what we are seeing in other countries. I think United States is proof of it. Is that the introduction of these vehicles is in the the normal flow. We don't foresee different lanes or dedicated lanes for these vehicles, is what we are seeing. In our operation in Spain, we go with the hand of the European Union, which is regulating in the domain of type approval, and I think we believe that the vehicle has to be fully saved. We are facilitating the introductions of these vehicles. We have regulation for pilots, for testing. Okay, and we are currently updating our national regulation in two aspects. For us, it's important that these vehicles comply with the road code, which at this moment is maybe have difference between the different regions and also different countries. Okay, so we want to give work on the road safety protocol for these vehicles that they have to check as we check drivers. Okay, and also the other domain is they have to fulfill with this road traffic code and to have certification. That they comply, that the vehicles, the software. We are not talking more about the vehicles, but autonomous driving systems. That the autonomous driving systems comply with the road code. All these processes has been introduced in our traffic law, and also what is important in our register of vehicles. We have introduced the autonomous driving systems in the register, and they have to all these updates of software have to be updated also in the register. We want to go to all the process, but the question, not that we don't see dedicated lanes for these vehicles.
Thank you, Anna. The second question is, I think, for all the panelists, and how do you plan to address digitalization and AI challenges such as cybersecurity risks and job displacement? That's a classical question when we talk about AI.
Well, cybersecurity risks for us is a priority. It's we're actually sometimes when you talk about which place in the organization you have a function, it tells you how much importance it does have for the organization. So right now, cybersecurity is at the top level of the organization. It reports directly to the executive committee, and that means it's a critical issue for us. And we're integrating it more and more with operations, with traditional operations security as well, which I think is a challenge. We're working very hard on that. In terms of the question of displacement, I think we're not there yet at all. The way we're seeing it is a way of empowering actually our people to focus into value-added activities. And I know this sounds like the typical word you say or phrase you say, but in the case I was giving you before as an example in terms of maintenance, it literally added value activities, what we need our people to focus on. When we have every so often, every year and a half or so, our trains go through a complete revamping. It's called a complete revision of the train. And we do it systematically because it's part of our procedure. But we don't need to do it all every single year for every single train. What we need to do is to make sure we're doing it at the right moment, even if it's sooner or later. And for that, what we need is our people to have the information they need to make those decisions and those judgment calls. So for the moment, rather than displacing, I think we're going to see it focus on much more value-added activities that would free people to focus on how to best improve maintenance, security, responses, etc. So for now, it's not a threat at all. It should be an empowering tool. And we are, in fact, last week we launched it and across the entire organization training on AI precisely for these purposes. And it's going to be done at all levels, from the management to the most technical part, in no particular order. It's a massive training program we've designed for the past year because we see it as the future of how we will run our business. Yeah.
May I? Thank you. You know, it's a joke, but there are two kinds of companies. One they have already hacked, and another that they don't know it. And the point of Indra about these cyber risks or attacks, I think that it's better. What we made was change the way that we build the solutions. We put the focus on that, not on the make additional layers of protection. No, the key aspect is how you build your technology solution to trying to delay what's something that eventually will be inevitable. That's the focus on. We have in the company, we made a strong acquisition of a very specific specialist company in Europe, SIA. And all our developments and all of the new technology supply this is a must. There is no, in any offer, any project, there is no, this reality is always taken in account. But from the very beginning, in the building of the solution, not as a additional protection layer.
Okay, just very quickly. Well, regarding cybersecurity, I mean, for us, I mean, sort of a cliche, but it's essential because we work with third-party data. So it's the very essence of what we do. We need to keep credibility. We need to gain confidence for the companies or the organizations that share data with us, such as mobile phone companies, public transport agencies. So it's something we take very seriously, of course, and it's directly managed at the board level by our CTO, and it's of course a priority. I don't think I'm revealing anything. And regarding displacement, I don't know. I'm going to give a very unusual answer in these panels, but I have no idea. I don't know, because I tend to think as Paloma, and I would like to believe that what she said is right. I believe what she said is right. But on the other hand, if you look at what we answered in this panel and you ask ChatGPT, it would probably give very similar answers to what we said, right? So I guess the added values in decision making, as Paloma was pointing out, right, in pointing or orienting what we do to answering the right questions, and I will try to link with the questions of autonomous vehicles just to close a little bit the loop. Again, and linking to my initial intervention, it's not only about technology, it's about how we adopt and how we use this technology. Because, autonomous vehicles can be excellent, they can improve safety, they can improve road capacity, but they could also have undesired consequences. We may also generate more trips that were performed by other types of modes before, people who are not driving that can now use a car. By the way, we always think of autonomous cars, but autonomous vehicles could also be public transport vehicles, right? So I guess this is what we can do to prevent or at least to mitigate displacement, right? Try to think of the right questions, which is something that AI cannot do yet, but we will see in the future.
Anna? Yeah.
Yes, just to support what has been said, of course, I think regarding cybersecurity, I could confirm what's been previously said by Luis. We believe in the build as in the approach of the design, and as a public authority, we are introducing in our RFQs or in the technical prescriptions that all the cybersecurity matters have to be solved from the beginning, designing these platforms and not as a top layer that comes at the very, very end. Okay, and we follow the national schemes in that area, and also we have to support the European Union on behalf of the regulations that we got to fulfill, which helps us a lot in the process. I think to have this support of regulation and also inputs, it makes the process easier. And regarding the introduction of intelligence, artificial intelligence, I think is something that we are learning, we are introducing in the organizations. I was thinking I entered DGT 22 years ago, and in the process, my veterans there, they didn't know how to use mail. I mean, the mail. For them, it was a challenge that at that stage. I had to. So for us, I think for the organizations, we will adopt, we will learn about it, and finally adopt them. So it's a challenge, but it's a great help that we will have.
Great, thank you. So that brings us to the end of our panel. We heard many examples, and what struck me is how this covers all the aspects of what we do in the transport sector. You know, we have this vision about we want to transform transportation to make it cleaner, to make it safer, to make it more inclusive, and to make it more resilient. And if you remember what the various examples that we discussed today, I mean, we talked about safety because there was a particular focus on safety, but we talked a little bit about clean transport, no? By managing the demand. I mean, there are some ways to make it cleaner. We talked about making it more resilient, more efficient by through a better planning of maintenance. And in the previous plenary earlier today, there was another panelist from Spain who talked about data for more inclusive transport and more gender inclusive transport. No? So this is going to transform everything we do. This can help us to set better and implement better policies. And I would like to thank again our panelists, Anna, Paloma, Luis, and Ricardo. Many thanks for sharing your experience with the audience today. I hope you enjoyed the conversation, and I wish you an excellent rest of the day and an excellent transforming transportation.